It's the end of 2023! Hooray! Woo! Hope you're all having a lovely New Year's Eve, or close enough to New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day when this video comes out, or when you watch it. Hell, you may be seeing it some weird time in the future, but it's the end of 2023 for me, and I want to talk about video games of this year. Hooray! I'm going to try and do it briefly. I ain't really the greatest at being brief, but we'll do what we can. And what we want to do is talk about the top of the year. What were the best games? What were the worst games? And what are the games that are going to be lost to the funnel of time to be completely forgotten forever? First, some honorable mentions that aren't going to be any of the lists. We're going to start with Hi-Fi Rush. This game is fantastic. At the start of the year, I thought this game would be my game of the year. That shows how good of a year this is, that Hi-Fi Rush isn't in my top 5 best games of the year. It is a fantastic game. Another game that is not on this list is Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's a really good game. I don't like it as much as Resident Evil 4 Classic, but it's still great. Another one, Alan Wake 2, is on this list, but it is not on the list for the top games or the I don't care games or the worst games. It's just an okay game that came out. It really pushes graphics. It does some fantastic things, but it has lots of problems and has some terrible writing decisions. But it is not bad enough to be on the worst list. It's not boring enough to be in the I don't know list. It's just lost to the sands of time. And finally, my last honorable mention is The Last Faith. This game is really fantastic. It should be on my list for greatest games ever this year, but it misses out. Unfortunately, there were better games. Hi-Fi Rush didn't get on the top of the year, but hey! Is Lords of the Fallen. Now this is at the very bottom of a game that is so bland everyone's going to forget it. It is a sequel to a game that was so bland that everyone's going to forget it. So it's at the bottom of the bland, forgetful list. It is literally completely forgotten the moment I stopped talking about it. What was I talking about? On the bottom of the worst list is Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart came out at the start of the year. I had high hopes for a new Bioshock game by some Russian developers, but they sort of had a pretty rocky launch time considering what was happening over in Ukraine at the time. I don't wish them the worst luck, I don't wish them the best luck, but unfortunately Atomic Heart came out and it was kinda shit. I liked it for what it was doing, but it wasn't quite good enough to really capture the attention. The 5th best game of the year is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, a sequel game. This game shouldn't be on the list. You're right, but it is so great to see Nintendo doing what they do best. It doesn't matter what year Breath of the Wild came out on, it would be on the top of the list. And guess what? Tears of the Kingdom is just Breath of the Wild but better. So it deserves to be on the top list. It is a great game, has lots of cool construction mechanics, has lots of stuff to collect. I love collectathons! Banjo-Kazooie, let's go! Number 4 on the bland forgetful list is Jedi Survivor. This is a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. Now I liked Fallen Order quite a bit, but this sequel game that came out just sort of was so forgetful. I don't know a single person that has ever talked about this game and even remembers it past the 2 frogs. The 4th worst game of the year is Diablo 4. I put it here purely because of the 4. Diablo 4 came out this year and it is an ARPG that is the worst possible combination of bullshit. Just lately, they're wanting to push DLCs at a price of $100 for a game that failed miserably. There was a 3-day early access that cost 120 Australian dollars and the base version was $80, so you're spending literally more than $10 a day to play Diablo 4 early. This game is such a trash fire of crap. It's only giving you damage on a Tuesday on a Friday afternoon with the weather being slightly damp. The fourth best game of the year is Lies of P. Now, unlike Lords of the Fallen, unlike The Last Faith, this game is a really great FromSoft style tactical RPG sort of thing. Dark Souls is great, Pinocchio is cool. These South Korean developers have done a fantastic job, and their DLC plans are looking very promising, and I can't wait for their next game. I love this game. It wasn't the greatest ever, but I think with a second attempt, they can really strike gold. The third most forgetful game of the year is Hogwarts Legacy, the best-selling game of the year. For me, Hogwarts Legacy fits that weird bubble that only one other IP has ever hit, and that is Avatar. And guess what? Avatar released a game this year, and you're going to forget about it just like you're going to forget about the movie Avatar. Wait, this was meant to be a review about Hogwarts Legacy, wasn't it? The third worst game of the year didn't even come out this year. That's how bad this game was. Kalista Protocol. It was meant to be the Dead Space killer, but unfortunately Dead Space remake came out this year as well, and guess what? Dead Space is still good. Kalista Protocol, on the other hand, is horrible. It had this weird melee mechanic where you have to dodge to the left, dodge to the right.
Joe, what are you doing? We gotta get out of here! I just killed the director! We gotta go!
What's wrong?
This whole facility is falling apart! There's zombies everywhere! Creatures, let's go!
But they're harmless!
Joe, it's extremely dangerous! Let's get out of here immediately!
All you gotta do is bob and weave. Check this out. I've been doing this for 3 hours.
What the? Are you serious?
Really fantastic facial details, really cool atmospheric effects. Unfortunately, the gameplay was crap and absolutely abysmal. It came out at the very end of last year, and everyone thought they were going to forget it, but I didn't. That's why it's number 3 on this list. The third best game of the year is Final Fantasy 16. I love Final Fantasy 16. It is absolutely awesome. It has all of the Devil May Cry sort of combat systems. It has freaking over-the-top boss battles, has a really deep and intricate plot, and every single character is voiced phenomenally by great English voice actors. Yoshi P hit it out of the park with Final Fantasy 14 story, and with Final Fantasy 16 under his reigns, he only cemented his status as being a really great developer and manager over at Square Enix. I hope he gets more and more promotions to actually fix that company from the inside, because every single other Square Enix game is a hot trash fire. The second most forgettable game of the year is by Square Enix, Forspoken. Do you guys remember this? I don't. This game came out and had the most cringiest dialogue ever. There was a cat, there was a girl who says, yeah.
We did.
I just move shit with my mind.
Perhaps our connection has somehow awoken some abilities.
I just moved shit with my mind.
I just keep hearing I.
I just move shit with my freaking mind!
The second worst game of the year is a collection of games. These are the shovelware games that ruined everyone's day. They may not have played it, but they most certainly heard about it. Golem, the Lord of Ring, The Day Before, the game that was cancelled after the day it came out, the day after, King Kong something Kong Smash. These 3 games have just epitomized what terrible developers can put out there and just shit on the quality that is the art of video games. These studios shame the whole industry, and yet they're still number 2. The most forgettable game of the year goes to Starfield. Now you may be thinking, what, this should be on the worst games of the year list. No, because Starfield is competently developed. It is a competent game with competent mechanics. It has lots of competency with it. It's just so shittily done. It's boring. Every single aspect of the game is boring. You go here, you teleport there, you do this, you fight the same guy over and over, you mine the same mineral over and over. This isn't even a fun sort of farming simulator game like Stardew Valley where you have all these cool and interesting characters. All you have is these cardboard cutouts of people that talk at you, not with you. This game is terrible. You've already forgotten about Starfield, haven't you? I'm sorry for bringing it back up. The very worst game of the year, Redfall. Now I made a whole video about Redfall being absolutely terrible, and the reason why this is the worst game of the year is because it completely epitomizes the problem with AAA gaming in 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020, and probably 2024 is when these AAA developers are just told to do stuff that they aren't equipped to do. This studio is a fantastic studio. They created Prey, Dishonored, Dishonored 2, and yet for some reason you made them create a co-op zombie shooter RPG thing? There was no way this studio could ever pull this off, and yet you've forced them down this weird live service gas money hole. You are idiots, Bethesda. You are idiots, Microsoft. And guess what? Blizzard won't be saved from this gas treatment, although Activision was always gas all the time, so how could it get worse with Microsoft? And finally, we have a split winner for Best Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3 and Armored Core 6. Now you may have been wondering, where was number 2 Best Game of the Year? Well, I couldn't literally choose between these two. Baldur's Gate 3 is by far the most competent and deep game ever released, but it's not as fun as Armored Core 6, which is the most fun and engaging game I have ever played, including all of the Souls game. Every single mission, every single map is fantastic. The graphics are fidelity, the movement, it's just orgasmic. But Baldur's Gate 3 on the other hand is so intricate and deep and detailed and loved, and it just satisfies you in so many different ways to Armored Core 6. They're both fantastic gems, and neither of them can be better than the other because they are better in some ways and worse in other ways. I don't go to Baldur's Gate 3 thinking I want to be a giant mech and destroy this entire town with missiles. But I don't go to Armored Core 6 and go, I want to have sex with a bear. These were the best games of the year. Hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to keep it as brief, as witty, as fun as I could. I didn't have the best jokes, but hey.